Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back, baby. Body cam for us today. Predator realizes he's going to prison for life. Which they all don't need to, though.
I mean, yeah.
Honestly, for majority of them, I'm not gonna say every last one, because some people do learn their lesson. They go through like some of them. You think some of them might need therapy? Well, all of them need therapy to see what's the root cause of reason why they possibly. That's one thing I do feel like inmates should go. You know what I'm saying? It should be part of their, especially the ones who possibly don't have life, should be forced. Not necessarily forced. We ain't gonna use that term, but it should be a requirement. For them to go through therapy, so they can go through, like, you know what I'm saying, mentally, like what could be, and kind of help work with you through that. You know, what you think?
I mean, it's a good idea.
I'm saying, especially for those who trying to go for parole.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. It's just kind of like, I feel like some of them would.
Even for group therapy, you don't necessarily need to be one-on-one, but group therapy.
I feel like for some people, it probably would be beneficial. For some, it may be just beneficial because you in here and you don't have any outside influence. And maybe when you get out, hopefully you still kind of like take that with you, but it just depends.
Cause that's the thing. Cause we know a lot of people talk about rehabilitation. A lot of people can necessarily change when they in prison, but then get back on the street, they go back into that same light.
Yeah,
because they're not, like you just said, you're not surrounded by
any
the ordinary
outside
people.
Influence. Yeah.
So it's easy to say, hey, yeah, I can do this, I can change this, and go in there. But it's the fact that you coming back on to the streets and to society. Can you tune that out and not be, you know? Mm-hmm. Some people can, some people can't. But hey, make sure you check out the links in the description box
down below.
You already know where to go. If you want to first part, you gotta do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it in with a thumbs up.
Man, let's get it. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
When a young Mennonite woman was found dead in Arizona.
He hasn't?
He hasn't. Let's go.
The police were desperate to discover why someone would take her several hours away from her home in New Mexico, only to shoot her dead and dump her body.
Go.
Sheriff's office, get out of the car!
Get on the car!
Turn off the car! Step out now!
Little did they know that as they worked with the Mennonite community to solve this terrible crime, authorities would end up discovering a decade's worth of unsolved crimes, all leading back to one depraved man.
Get your hands up! Step away from the car!
On February 22nd, 2020, Cynthia Schultz was pleasantly spending her morning collecting firewood for her camp at the Sunset Crater National Park, around 20 miles from Flagstaff, Arizona. While out, Cynthia spotted a woman lying face down in the dirt. Thinking something might be wrong, she called out to the woman. However, when she didn't respond, Cynthia had a horrifying revelation. The woman was dead. Cynthia alerted the authorities, and soon the area was swarmed with police, trying to get to the bottom of this tragedy.
He didn't move or nothing. He just went and checked her, and okay. Rigid as a rigor mortis. She was real stiff, cold.
It was immediately clear to the detectives that this case was a homicide, as the victim had a gunshot wound to the head and her hands were bound together with duct tape. As they inspected the body closer, they noticed that the victim was wearing very modest and traditional clothes, which made them suspect she might be a Mennonite. Mennonites are a Christian denomination that practice a conservative lifestyle, dedicating themselves to their religion and only using technology that's strictly necessary, such as basic phones. Through forensic comparisons, the police were able to identify the mysterious victim.
Oh. Because you want me to tell you what I had typed in Mennonite? It literally pulled up Mennonite versus Amish. And I guess how you can be able to tell them apart. because they do.
Can I just see? Right there, babe.
There you go. Let me see, but I'm just, like definitely are generally more conservative and strict separation from mainstream society. I mean, there's more diversity and segregation with modern. So I guess Mennonites do like the least minimal as possible with modern life. They adapt to society, but they're not one. Yo, you know what? You remember I said I came across some Amish people? Mm-hmm. Maybe they weren't Amish. Maybe they were Mennonites.
When did you come across them?
When I used to be a server, and I had served, it was a family. I was like, I didn't think Amish ate out. And then I was driving a car. I was like, I didn't think they drove a car and stuff. They might have been Mennonites, but they dressed the same.
Oh, you said they was driving. Yeah, they probably were.
I thought they were, because I honestly, I never like thought about Mennonites like that, but they look very much so similar to Amish people. Oh, so let me see this photo. Sorry, y'all, it's just going down the edge. So this, look, these are Amish, and then these are Mennonites. Very similar in dress style. Okay. You learn something new every day, man. You learn something new every day. But what make him go find her, you know?
Right.
Is 27-year-old Sasha Krause, a Mennonite woman who had gone missing from New Mexico on January 18th, over a month before she was discovered. While police may have finally been able to give their victim a name, it was now time to uncover her horrific story and find out the truth about how she ended up murdered in a national park nearly 300 miles from her home. Through interviews and investigation, the police were able to determine that Sasha was a Sunday school teacher who had worked and lived on the Lamp and Light compound, a Mennonite community in Farmington, New Mexico. On the night of her disappearance, Sasha was making a quick late-night stop by the Sunday school to finish an errand. When she failed to come home that night, Sasha's roommates alerted the community and the police were soon involved. Unfortunately, the case had hit a dead end fairly soon after beginning, and it seemed like Sasha had simply vanished into thin air. However, not only did authorities now have Sasha's body, they were also able to recover her phone, a key piece of evidence that could likely point them in the direction of their killer. Through phone records, the police were able to deduce that Sasha hadn't just vanished. She'd been kidnapped. As her kidnapper drove her to Arizona, Sasha's phone could be seen pinging off of select phone towers before it died. Throughout her entire trip to Arizona, there was only one other device pinging off of those same towers, and it belonged to a man named Mark Gooch. Mark Gooch was an airman working at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, and at first glance it appeared he had nothing in common with Sasha outside of his cell phone records. Nevertheless, Lauren Nagel, the lead detective on the case, traveled to Luke Air Force Base and sat down with Mark for questioning.
Like, why?
But my thing is, because reason why I was like, you think he might have been one too, because typically those compounds, I'm going to just use the term compound, like those areas and regions, it's not easy to get on and off without being noticed, and they kind of keep a watch of that area because it's kind of like you're outside, you know what I'm saying? You're going to stand out.
Yeah.
And so what led him to the compound to even find her? And I'm just using compound because I don't know the terminology that they might use, but just
well, what's the church? Like, where was the church located?
Well, they all live in the same vicinity of everything. Yeah, everything. Like, cause she walked there, and so it's in a close proximity in walking distance. Cause it's like their little small community.
That's a good question.
So I'm wondering, I'm like, how did you even just, you know?
Yeah.
Detective Nagel introduces herself as Detective Jones, as she got married at some point between this interview and her appearance in court.
Hi, thank you for your patience. That would work out that way. I asked you to come talk with me, and then obviously I did a phone call, right?
And what lays out to him besides the phone ping?
I think it was...
It got to be something other than a phone ping.
I guess because since it's like it was bouncing off at the same time hers was, it's like in like the same like time frame.
But I'll say this,
ironic, I guess.
From working where I previously, it doesn't necessarily 100% work like that though.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they did find some other information or some other evidence or something like that.
Because say for instance, I go by a tower, right? And then we come across another tower.
Maybe text messages. He didn't say that, but I don't know.
I'm just saying because I used to have to deal with this all the time. Like yours might get stuck on this tower.
Yeah.
You come across another tower. Yours might not jump to that tower, but yours will jump to that tower.
Yeah.
So we riding together. Mine still pull, and that's the reason why some people be like, "Your service good? Nah, my service good. Your service good? Nah, I got horrible service."
Yeah.
It's because your phone's still on that other tower and it's too far in range, while mine have picked up to the new tower, and that's the reason why they always say, "Hey, make sure you constantly turn your phone off and on," and you know what I'm saying, because sometimes your phone can get stuck on the tower.
Yeah.
And sometimes you know what I'm saying, like it's not perfect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where I was like, what other evidence did we get besides the
phone ping,
cell phone ping? Because I used to work for a tech support with a phone company, so I used to have to sometimes manually force people's cell phone service to reconnect and all this. So I don't know.
All right, so I'm Detective Jones. I'm with the Sheriff's Office. I'm sure you're wondering what I want to chat with you about. Of course, I'm about to fill you in. We just got to go through some procedural stuff first.
The interview takes place in an interrogation room on Luke Air Force Base and is an ideal setup according to the Reed technique. A popular method of interrogation, there's no barrier between Detective Nagel and Mark, allowing her to observe all of his movements and nonverbal communication. The walls appear to be bare, which is intentional to minimize distractions. It's also helpful that there's only one detective present, which can make the interview feel less threatening. Additionally, Mark is seated near the door, which helps send the message that he's able to leave at any time. This may make him less defensive and more likely to talk. It can also help prevent any false imprisonment claims later. Detective Nagel and Mark speak briefly about his...
And I was thinking possibly get him comfortable because we came to you and not have you come to us, to the precinct. Mm-hmm. So now you like, okay, this is basically my stomping ground because we still on an Air Force base. This is what I'm familiar with. It's like you on foreign territory. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Responsibilities as a mechanic in the Air Force before the detective asks about Mark's life back home.
So what'd you do before Air Force then?
I worked in the diesel mechanic shop for about a year and did construction as well and grew up on a dairy farm. So.
Oh yeah? That's pretty cool. Do you have siblings?
Yes, ma'am. 6.
Oh wow, really?
Yep.
Okay, big family. Yeah. Tell me about them. Like how many brothers, sisters?
3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay, got it. And where are they at now?
All over the country.
All over?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the youngest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who would you say you're closest with?
I don't know, we kind of got separated pretty good after everybody started moving out.
So you're not close with any of them then?
I talk with them on the phone here and there, but I'm probably closest, maybe my brother back in Wisconsin.
Oh, gotcha. Which brother's that?
It's Sam.
Sam. Okay.
Mark comes across as a polite, well-mannered airman, but as we'll see over the course of the interview, this is just a facade.
So what do you do on your time off?
Play on my computer sometimes, play some games, go hiking as much as possible, but work on my car and bike a lot too. Try to stay active.
Cool. Do you like go to church or anything like that?
No, man, the church closed down.
Oh, that's closed too?
Coronavirus.
Got you. Is that something that you did before it closed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I would attend church quite a bit.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking about that, what kind of religion did you grow up in?
We grew up in a Christian, I guess the religion, I guess is how you call it, but Christianity is how I was raised.
Oh, okay. Any like specific denomination of Christianity?
Mainly they were called Mennonites, or Amish. I'm not sure how familiar you are with that.
Not really. Tell me about that.
But basically drive darker colored vehicles. We use flip phones when you have internet, stuff like that. So it was pretty sheltered, you could say.
That's why I was wondering. I was like, he gotta have some kind of,
Pretty sheltered.
Difficult.
I got it.
With this admission, the police now have another unexpected link between Mark and Sasha. They're both Mennonites. When the detective brings up the topic of religion, Mark starts to fumble with his words, indicating that the topic of religion may be something Mark doesn't want to talk about.
In that last 6 months, have you traveled out of state anywhere?
Yes, ma'am. When I came down here, I drove my car from Wisconsin down here.
Oh, okay. So you drove from Wisconsin to Phoenix?
Correct.
Anywhere else?
Pretty much state of Arizona. I try to do as much hiking as possible.
Mark doesn't know it yet, but he's just been caught in his first lie, the first of many. Using words like pretty much, mostly, and similar sentiments are qualifiers and often throw up a red flag to detectives. These words usually indicate half-truths or that there's something the individual may not wish to disclose. In this case, Mark saying that he pretty much stays in Arizona isn't true at all, and he's hiding something very big. He also uses filler sounds such as to delay answering so he has time to think about his response.
You're probably wondering, why I'm here. So I'm a detective. I'm with Coconino County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
And I am working a homicide investigation.
Okay.
There was a girl named Sasha Krause that was killed. Did you hear about that case?
I've seen it in the news. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you know about the case.
It's basically the news report. She was from New Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she left home one evening, and they found her in northern Arizona, like Flagstaff area, correct?
Right. So that's the case that I'm working. Any idea now why I'd want to talk to you at all?
Probably because I was probably traveling up in New Mexico area, probably.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all, because that's what I was trying to get, like, how the distance. So it's about 4.5 hour distance. That is a pretty big distance.
Mm-hmm.
From Farmington to Flagstaff.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was coming through. What if? Because he was born, grew up as a, what's it called again? Mennonite, right? What if they all got connections? I'm sure, like, you know what I'm saying, like some religion, like we keep touches and bases on, you know what I'm saying, every region, state, you know what I'm saying, because it's a community, right? It's a religious community. What if it's the closest one nearby by the Air Force Base?
Yeah.
What if, I'm just throwing out a hypothetical, coming from Wisconsin, he's familiar with this area. Maybe it was somebody he's been to this place before.
Yeah. In
New Mexico, he had his eye on her before, and on his way through, or could it have just been somebody random? Could they have been a random target or somebody he already had? Because they say her phone records helped them indicate some stuff too.
I mean, with that's in the air. You can go either way. Don't know, but I would think that they probably have some type of knowing of each other, or maybe not.
Because what? So this night I'm going to the. She just didn't, or did she not want y'all to know that she was going to meet up with him? He's just coming through. I don't know. I wonder, like, what, like, in her phone, does it show that they had, because I was like, out of all people, why him? I understand the tower bouncing.
I said, unless they have, like, text messages or some type of, like, I guess the phone records as far as, like, maybe
some type of
talking on the phone, some type of communication.
I doubt they'll text because they are, and they carry flip phone. You can still text on a flip phone, but I'm sure they're probably more call than text.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
As the detective reveals why she's here interviewing him, Mark begins to show more and more signs that he may be hiding something. When asked what he knows about Sasha Krause's murder, Mark vaguely says that they found her. This is a soft way to describe something as violent as a homicide.
And they found her in northern Arizona.
When suspects shy away from using realistic words such as murdered or killed, this can be a red flag for possible deception as they're minimizing the crime. Additionally, Mark uses the qualifier probably 3 times in 8 seconds.
Probably because I was probably traveling up in New Mexico area, probably.
So we've got these things called license plate readers.
Okay.
And your vehicle hit a license plate reader in that area. So tell me about that. You were traveling then. I'm a little confused because at first you said you hadn't traveled, but now did you go to New Mexico?
Yes, ma'am.
Your vehicle.
I said, oh yeah, it's 2020. Yeah, cameras be everywhere now.
We got
license plate. You got so many. Yeah, you got the cell phone towers. You got
gunshot joints. The gunshot where they a gunshot is set off. It alerts the.
Oh yeah, those.
We got those.
Yeah, you got so much now. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Was picked up on that license plate reader in the general area. On the same day, actually, that she went missing. And so what I'm doing at this point is I got to talk to everybody, as you can imagine. That's my job. Anybody who's in the area, anybody who could have seen something.
Despite the fact that Mark appears to be intentionally lying, Detective Nagel does a great job of calling him out for it while also remaining non-judgmental. She does this in order to keep Mark from feeling threatened and ending the interview, while also not letting him get comfortable in any of the lies he tells. The more someone repeats a lie, the more confident they will become. She also keeps him calm by not telling him the whole truth about why she's there. Although she's telling Mark that she's just interviewing everyone who got picked up on a certain license plate reader, we know that Mark is actually her #1 suspect, and that he was found through phone records. This is just one example of the ways detectives can lie during interviews in order to get a suspect to tell them the truth.
So why were you in New Mexico that day?
I was planning on going, so I was checking out Mennonite churches. I had traveled up to Flagstaff.
Mark takes a big pause after he says he traveled, followed by his foot twitching, and then he says to Flagstaff.
I had traveled up to Flagstaff.
This is something called a cadence switch, which is essentially a disruption in the flow and inflection of speech. In an interrogation, this can be seen as an indication of something being left out of a story, as the speaker paused and changed their speech pattern.
I was hoping that ski resort was still open.
Yeah.
They were closed due to coronavirus starting up. And so I figured I'd go check out a Mennonite church up in that area. So I knew some people from Wisconsin that used to live there. And I wanted to go just attend because I've really been missing that social life.
Yeah.
I used to have in Mennonite churches.
Is there any reason why you didn't tell me when I asked you if you've traveled? You didn't mention that to me. Is there a reason that you didn't?
No, man, I'm sorry. My memory just, I don't know. It's not what it used to be. I'm tired today. I'm sorry if I failed to mention that. But I was not trying to hide or withhold information.
Okay, thanks.
Once again, Mark is caught in a lie. While explaining why he was in New Mexico, he mentions that he was wanting to go skiing. However, the ski resort he drove to, the Arizona Snow Bowl Ski Resort in Flagstaff, was closed due to COVID-19 restrictions. In actuality, the Snow Bowl didn't close for COVID until March, well after Mark would have been there on January 18th. As he said,
which is true. I remember everything around that time. Because unfortunately, I lost my job in March because everything shut down, and we was trying to figure out soon because everything took off at the end of 2019, but it ramped up in in 2020 in the beginning. So in January, everything was still flowing. Matter of fact, we moved in February that year in February. Yeah, because I took off. I had got the rental. Yeah. We moved in February that year. And then next month, everything shut down.
Oh.
Because also my mom got sick that year. It was when my mom got sick.
Oh. I don't remember none.
You don't remember? God.
We moved into 2019?
No, 2020. Right before the demic.
We moved where, here?
Yeah.
In 2020?
Yeah. I got the rentals. I got the rental from work.
I thought we had been here, child.
No, I got the rental from work. And my mom got sick. My mom was actually sick when we moved. Because she was in this room and we was like, Mom, you good? She was like, yeah. She was like, I'm having deja vu. That's when she first started. And then I had got the rental when we had went back home. Yeah. Oh,
I thought we had moved here 2019, but that's besides the point.
No, I'm just saying because I remember.
Yeah.
Because I was there for about a year, and I had started in the summertime, and it was coming up on my year.
Interesting.
And then I lost my job because of COVID.
Huh.
Yeah.
March. Well after Mark would have been there on January 18th. As he says this, he half shrugs with his right shoulder. It's barely perceptible, but lines up when he says, I don't know. Internally, he does know, and is just making excuses, but he's not confident in his memory excuse. Mark is also sitting with his leg crossed in a way that creates a barrier between himself and the detective. He switched to this guarded position after he was asked about traveling. When questioned about why he didn't mention this trip earlier, Mark's military formality helps him appear more truthful than he's actually being. He refers to Detective Nagel as ma'am and immediately apologizes for not mentioning the trip because he was tired. Unfortunately for Mark, no matter how polite he is, this omission is definitely a sign that he has a reason to keep this trip a secret, and the detective has certainly picked up on that.
Do you remember that day then when he went to New Mexico?
Yeah, okay. I think I remember some of it.
So what time about did you leave here, Luke Air Force Base?
Probably left fairly early in the morning.
Okay.
And then what time did you say I was in the area?
What?
I have to go grab I've got like the charts.
Tell us.
Okay.
What time? Well, let's.
Because if he left in the morning from the air base, I just looked up Flagstaff, where she was found, which is 4.5 hours.
But the air base was a little bit.
To about 2 hours more.
It's about 2?
Yeah. Because it was six something. So it's about additional 2 hours from Flagstaff to the Air Force Base. So the Air Force Base, 6.5. So let's just say 6.5 hours to Farmington. If he left early in the morning, nah, because that means you was, or were you at Farmington the whole day because you was going, and that you probably had your eyes on her, or were you just, I don't know. I need to know the phone records though.
True.
We'll go through the day. So when you say fairly early, what does that mean to you?
Probably about 7.
Okay.
7 is when I left to head up there.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped in Flagstaff for a while. Just got some, got some fuel, I believe.
This is one of the last fully truthful statements Mark says while recounting his trip to New Mexico. While he may think he's being sneaky with his lies, Detective Nagel knows a lot more than she's letting on and is ready to catch every lie Mark throws her way.
Did you go anywhere else while you were in Flagstaff?
Nope, no, not on the way up. Pretty much straight driving. Had a really pretty snow-capped mountain up there.
Yeah.
At that time.
So you stopped in Flagstaff, you got gas, and then you think that you drove directly to the church in Farmington?
I stopped in Farmington to get some fuel.
Watch how the detective suddenly starts.
The time period 6.
Okay.
So damn near 7, depending on how fast you really driving.
Yeah.
That's a distance, bro. Because I'm trying to add. He said he left the air base early that morning.
Around 7.
Because I'm thinking about traveling time. Because you also got to, for that drive, he would have stopped at least once or twice to fill up.
Mm-hmm.
Like get more gas. So you got also to food.
Mm-hmm.
You at least once. Then you got to come back. So that's about, if you just go straight there and come back, that's about 13 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped in Farmington to get some fuel.
Watch how the detective suddenly starts kicking her foot. Since this discussion is about the scene of the crime, she likely feels a lot of pressure with these questions, trying to make sure she gets his story, and also has what she needs to confront him later. With all of his deceptive behavior already, she's likely fairly certain that he is the person she's looking for, And these are really the high-stakes questions.
About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I had swung by the church just to check their sign and see what time their services was. And they were, let me think, I think it was just Sunday and Sunday evening.
At this point in the investigation, Detective Nagel has spent a lot of time at Sasha's church, looking for any sign of what happened to her on January 18th. In her entire time there, the detective has never seen any sign even somewhat similar to the one Mark is claiming to have checked.
Did you, talk to anybody while you were there?
No, there was no one at the church, and I didn't want to bother anybody, so.
Did you like it? I don't know. What is it a church that, like what you grew up in, or different?
It looked fairly similar, but it's not really the same, so I'm a little disappointed with the whole long drive and everything. I didn't really see it as working out long term to make it there.
Yeah, that is a long drive.
It'd be way too far to drive every weekend, so I got talked to my friend. He wanted to go hiking on Sunday, and I really wanted to make it for that. I work with him in the shop. And
who's that friend?
His name's Kefley.
Mark claims that he made plans with Kefley to go hiking the following day. However, according to Kefley himself, the two actually went to a swap meet, also known as a flea market.
From what I'm understanding, it doesn't sound like you were there for very long.
No, man.
And then where did you go after that?
Hello.
I'm trying to remember if I was going to go look for a hike, or did I head straight back? I think I started, once he called me about the hike on Sunday, I think I started heading back.
He called you?
Correct.
While you were over there?
Correct.
Okay.
According to Mark, Kefley called him to discuss plans. However, the phone records disagree with Mark. Mark and Kefley only texted that day. And in fact, the only person that Mark spoke to on the phone was his brother Sam. Not only did Mark and Sam call, but they actually called each other 6 times for a total of nearly 2.5 hours, which is longer than the two had talked on the phone for the last 6 months combined.
On the way back home, did you stop anywhere?
I don't know, I might have made it to Phoenix. On a full tank, I don't know. I'd have to check.
Okay. So am I understanding correctly? You don't remember stopping anywhere?
No.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember what time you got back here to home?
It was fairly late. It was probably 8 or 9 o'clock. When I got back.
Long day, man.
Yep.
Mark makes a lot of lip and mouth movements here, known as micro-expressions. One of the biggest indicators of deception and hiding something is a movement called disappearing lips, which Mark demonstrates. Once again, Mark's account of the trip contradicts his phone records. While he might say that he went straight home from New Mexico, the records actually show him stopping in Sunset Crater National Park for several hours. With Mark having officially told his story about where he was on the day of Sasha's murder, Detective Nagel is noticing more and more red flags. Mark consistently lies, hesitates, and supposedly struggles to recall information when he is asked about stops he made, times, and what he was doing at specific points throughout his trip. When a suspect has a memory of extremes, meaning their memory is either too good or too bad, this is seen as a red flag to detectives. Just over 2 months have passed since January 18th, so it doesn't make sense that Mark is struggling so much to recall basic information about his trip.
True.
That is true, because I was like, a lot of times, sometimes you forget certain details, but also in my head, I had to realize it ain't been that damn long.
I'm trying to think if I would remember. I mean,
you on the other hand is a lot different.
I mean, I think I would still remember something that just happened a little less than a month ago.
Yeah. On that part for sure.
Like, especially something like
this. Yeah.
You know, because I feel like it depends. Like, I'm the type of person like,
because you're gonna remember those like minute details because it's such a like traumatic.
Yeah, like I think I remember stuff like that, and especially something that's like, say for instance, I seen something or witnessed something. Like I remember things like that because it's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
yeah, like things like that. Like, but if it's just an ordinary day, you don't pay attention to details. Your brain doesn't compute to remember these certain details.
Right.
Like, he's trying to forget the certain details because like when she's asking you all these questions, all those details are standing out. You remember that whole day because it's something that's such impactful. You murder someone. You kidnap somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So those...
You're trying to withhold the information. You're not
so
trying
now
to forget it. You know it.
Well, not forget necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's like your mind's trying to compute and come up with something else,
yeah.
and not exactly what you know it did. You know.
Given that this trip was pretty out of the ordinary for him, the trip should actually stick out in his mind even more.
What do you think should happen to the person that did that to Sasha?
As far as like, what are you getting at there?
But if we caught the person who killed her, what should happen to them?
Well, you should probably let the law deal with it. Or maybe the Mennonite community has a way of doing things differently.
In the Reed technique, this line of questioning is known as the punishment question, and it can be a good indicator of deception.
Yep.
Individuals who give vague answers are more likely to be deceptive than those who answer with strong, definitive punishments.
Yep.
Mark pauses for an incredibly long time after being asked what he thinks should happen to Sasha's killer, and he eventually settles on, "I don't know." This is the exact type of vague answer that sets off alarm bells for detectives when it comes to the punishment question. After a few more questions, Detective Nagel tells Mark that she's going to step out for just a few minutes to review her notes. After letting Mark stew for 10 minutes, Detective Nagel comes back in and gets ready to really take Mark's story apart and figure out what exactly it is that he's lying about.
On the way back, what time did you come back through the gate?
It was dark. Possibly
on the military base, army base, you got to check in. I remember going through the base all the time, and I gotta get my cars and stuff, get my shit ready. So when I finally came, he said, "Here you go, my boy. What's up with it, my boy?"
Too crazy.
But I'm saying you can't lie about that.
8 or 9. Probably later than that. I'm not sure.
So what's like a reasonable time frame? So
we
like
can
you're
go
saying
find
around
out.
8 or 9. Like what's the latest you think you possibly came through that gate?
Probably could have been 1 or 2.
Bro, that's a big gap.
8 or 9, 1 or 2.
9 or 1 or 2. Be for real.
No, you dumped her body probably about 8 or 9 when it was dark, which gives you that 2. And then now I gotta go commute because Flagstaff. Don't forget, he had to commute from Flagstaff back to the base. That was like a 2-and-some hour drive.
Yeah.
So from Flagstaff to the base, now I gotta calm myself down. You jumped her body out by 8, 9 o'clock. Commute.
Nah, what's that? But still, that still leaves you.
I'm still mentally gotta calm myself down too. I gotta I gotta clean up some stuff too. No, he went through that gate probably around 1 or 2 or midnight. But the 8 or 9 is around the time you probably dumped her body out. One. That 8 or 9, nah.
Crazy.
Because also, I'm just hypothetical situation. Let's not take nothing serious. Hypothetical situation. I'm not dumping a body while the sun is out. It's gonna be dark, especially where I can drag a body, or am I gonna leave tire tracks? Because she was like, if you driving a car, you would leave tire tracks, right? So why would I try to leave tire tracks? I will park away. I will try to make sure it's dark outside, kind of secluded area. Come on.
Yeah, secluded area.
Secluded area where I could be able to take the body and not be seen.
Yeah.
So also, I'm not going to have clothes like this. I'm going to have more darker clothes. Not preferably black, navy, dark brown, dark green. Something to blend in more with the wilderness.
Yeah.
Oh, you look at it. Just come on,
I'm
man.
just listening to you.
I'm just saying, like.
I'm just taking it in.
Let's just be real, like. Come on,
I feel you. Yeah.
Because if you dump a body while it's daylight, you bold. Bitch, be bold.
I know you're supposed to say that. Come on.
9 to 1 or 2 is probably the most time frame that I can think of. Because it was dark. when I came through.
It's kind of a big time frame there, though. 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. is pretty different.
I understand.
Okay. So you want to stick with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now that Detective Nagel has informed Mark his story doesn't add up, it's likely that he's going to respond with even less specifics than he was.
Is that him leaving up out of the interview?
Is it? What day is this?
This is on a Saturday.
So you want to stick with that?
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that Detective Nagel has informed Mark his story doesn't add up, it's likely that he's going to respond with even less specifics than he was before, hence his 6-hour time span.
Oh, no, this is when it happened.
Oh, January 18th. Okay, yeah.
He said he left out early that morning. It's 8 o'clock.
That's not. He got the same clothes on, and he got.
That's not like. Well, it's probably his military uniform, like military base.
Like, cause he just whatever he do, probably like the shirt. And
cause he works on.
Yeah,
he works on it.
Yeah.
So it's probably just what he
and
typically
then
works.
And he left at 8.
He said, I'm thinking super early. I'm thinking he probably left at 5.
He
6
said
o'clock.
7. When she asked what's early, he said maybe around 7, but it was actually 8:34.
8:30 ain't that damn early. That's basic. That's basic
when
morning
he said
time.
it's like pretty early. I was thinking
I'm
like
thinking,
5 a.m.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's pretty early to me. That's like
early to me.
when you going on vacation. Say, hey, we hitting the road early in the morning.
We leaving at about 5, 6.
5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Don't say, we leaving out early and it's 8, 9 o'clock. This is morning. I need my breakfast.
Mark is adamant that he got home at 8 p.m., but then video footage shows otherwise. It will reflect badly on his credibility. On the other hand, if he admits that it was 2 a.m. when he got home, then there's a large chunk of time that's completely unaccounted for between Mark leaving the church and arriving home.
Ain't no way he left base at 8:30. He was able to go to the church grounds and all that and make it back by 8. That's just the 12 hours. You're not going there and coming right back in 12 hours unless you're speeding. And you going, that's when I say speeding, you're doing 90. He said he never stopped for gas. You would have blew your gas.
He said he stopped once for fuel.
Did he say?
He did say that.
I thought he said he didn't have to because he made it to Arizona on a full tank.
Oh, what he said he stopped. What did he say? He stopped in Phoenix? Oh no, he did say.
You wouldn't have to go through Phoenix. You don't have to go through Phoenix.
I heard him say something about.
Do you?
I thought
Unless
I'm
tripping.
Him. No, I may be tripping because
Let me look at the map real quick. Unless, yeah, I guess you would have to go through Phoenix to wherever the air base is because I didn't get the air base. So he might have to go through Phoenix because the air base is down here. So he might stop in Phoenix first, but you know.
But regardless of the fact,
regardless of the fact,
yeah.
While Mark might be trying to avoid getting caught in a lie by avoiding specifics,
but you're not
in
making back in 12.
This just makes him even more suspicious.
So what if I told you that the time that you came in the gate that morning was 6:53 in the morning?
Woo!
6:53.
That's a long time.
6.
That gives you enough time to go. Hold on.
3.
And the next day. That's the next day. So what that gives me is time for you to commute up there, linger around, find your victim, keep a tab eye on your victim, or were y'all in communication? Because you was up there for a good bit. Then it gives you time to kidnap her, do what you need to do with her, dump the body, try to clean to hide any evidence, and then come back. That's what it gives me. Do it give you any of that?
Yeah. I mean, give me
a lot of time.
It gives me a lot of things.
That's almost 24 hours.
Come on, be for real.
What's that, 22 hours? 22 hours later, that's when you come through the gate.
Came in the gate that morning was 6:53 in the morning.
Do you hear it?
Would not guess it was that late.
That's a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So how do you explain that?
I stopped and slept in the car. On the way back, I had trouble staying awake.
Nigga, why you ain't say that in the first place if that was the truth?
Child, you know what you here for, right?
Yeah.
You know that
I'm going to go ahead and be up front. And I ain't going to hold you.
If I don't have anything to hide, I'm about to tell you everything. I'm going to remember that I had to stop and take a nap because I was tired.
I'm going to be completely honest. Anytime I ever got caught doing anything, I'll always play at the field. I might not play at the field. I was always honest. Yeah, I got caught, bro. It is what it is at this point, bro. Ain't no point in lying. Just go ahead and let you know, I took the shit. Nigga, what you gonna do?
That's what you gonna do. Child.
But
I don't look. I try my best to be
Tried to stop and sleep multiple times, but that's couldn't really sleep. It was cold. Okay. On the drive back. Okay.
Now, Mark has to scramble to fill in the gaps that Detective Nagel is pointing out. Mark claimed he left at 7 in the morning on January 18th. And according to the detective's records, he didn't get home until nearly that same time the following morning. Not only is this around 10 hours after the original time Mark gave for when he got home, but it's almost 5 hours after the revised time he gave.
And he got a lot of shit.
A garbage bag?
He got a lot of shit. Bag? I don't know what if it's a bag. He didn't leave out with nothing.
Yeah, unless he's already in his car.
I already knew Nah.
I don't know.
Home, but it's almost 5 hours after the revised time he gave. It's also highly suspicious that he has never mentioned this supposed nap he took in his car on the way home.
Like a trash bag,
and it definitely comes across that Mark is doing anything he can to try and cover up his lies.
Have you gone to Flagstaff any more than that one time?
No, ma'am. Except when I came down from Wisconsin to Luke. I don't remember which route I took coming in.
Okay. So after this New Mexico trip, you have not gone back up to Flagstaff again, is that right?
Not to my knowledge.
Mark saying not to my knowledge doesn't make sense here, because how could he travel somewhere without his knowledge? This is a selective memory statement, but in this situation, it also just doesn't even fit with the statement, and he would have been better off going with I'm not sure, or I don't think so, or some other selective memory statement.
Which is true that. Because, like, traveling purposes, you're not going to know what... Like, when we travel back home, I don't know what all them towns... I don't know what all them considered. So if you tell me... you tell me, we call... Only one I know is, like, Bucksnort.
Yeah, that's the only
If you say Bucksnort, I'd be like, oh, you talking about the spot with where they look gas? But if you say any other, I'd be like, I don't know what those are called because I'm just used to traveling straight through.
Yeah.
I don't get off and I don't go nowhere, like... Or the other one that we normally stop for the gas. Like, we stop at a gas station.
That's about the only
But the only two. But you know how many towns and counties we ride through? A lot. To go home, we rode through several. But I don't know like, which one is, like, we going through. Because I'm just driving. I'm not paying attention. But I know the road I'm traveling on.
Mm-hmm.
He must be starting to really feel some anxiety about this, because his thought processes are less logical and his word choices aren't great.
So I know that you went back up to Flagstaff a couple days later. And I've got a couple different ways to confirm that, like your gate checkouts. And
so hold on. So let me see. She was found the next day, right? No,
she wasn't found until
the 22nd.
22nd.
When she go missing?
January 18th.
So she was found a whole month later.
That's what I wrote down.
Hold on. The woman that found her, she was getting some stuff to go out there.
She found her in the Sunset
National Park.
She was out there, and she seen a woman laying down. Like, was she face down? I think
face down.
Yeah, and she thought
she already went into rigor mortis.
And she didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then she went up on her and seen it, and then she called. Yeah, so I think that was on February 22nd.
Do you think he killed her that night and dumped her body, or because she just said he went back up there several?
Why would you have to go back out there? Why would you twice? That makes sense. I don't know.
You possibly did dump her, but
you didn't dump her in one area.
But you came. Stop all that.
It be catching me off guard.
It catches me off guard when you do it. It's just emphasizing.
You didn't like move her in different locations. Was she always in that spot?
But hold on. What I'm trying to say is, you came back home with no one. What you said might be true. Was she always in that same spot?
I don't know. I'm just saying, because what reason would you? Why would you go back out there twice, or go back to
removing the body? You had to dump her out somewhere because she didn't come back with you on that base. Or unless she was in the trunk. But I highly doubt you do that. Because it is a military base.
Unless you just that bold. I don't know.
Yeah, some motherfuckers be bold, bro. But I can be that bold.
Yeah, I know we're going to find out, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, really what connection that y'all have other than y'all, share the same religion.
Yeah.
And
you went there that day.
And you went, like, I have so many questions.
And evidence that you were up in Flagstaff. So did you go back to Flagstaff for some reason a couple days later?
Possibly went for a drive. Went to go. I don't know. Possible.
When asked about going to Flagstaff
you already had known.
Mark hesitates for a long time before answering. Significant delays can be a red flag for deception.
Who go for a drive 2 hours? Well, never mind. I know some people who do. Just go on a 2-hour drive just to drive. But I ain't finna just be driving I went for a drive for 2 hours. Going for a drive is like going for a drive around
the
city.
Just where
you could have went to Arizona. I mean, you could have went to Phoenix. It's a city. I just went out to Phoenix for a drive. But I'm not finna go all the way up to Flagstaff. I'm not going all the way up here when I'm all the way down here. I would have just went to one of the major cities that's around me.
Questions require thought, so it would make sense for someone to stop and think before answering. However, it doesn't take this much thought to remember if you recently went to a town 2 hours away from where you live, meaning that Mark's hesitation just comes off as suspicious. Clearly, Mark isn't going to be truthful about what he was really up to on January 18th. So Detective Nagel changes gears and starts asking Mark more about his Mennonite connection to Sasha.
Earlier when we were talking, you mentioned how when you're not born into the Mennonite church, we use that word outsider. Like you're kind of an outsider compared to like people who are born in. Sasha was like that too. Did you know that? Her family was not born into Mennonite church. So I'm wondering if you're willing to kind of tell me. I noticed I just saw a little bit of an emotion in you when we talked about that. Is there something that happened to you in the Mennonite church that upsets you?
Not really. It was just a way of life, and I didn't really like it, and I was happy to be out of it. My parents left the church.
By stating not really, he's denying anything happened to him, but not strongly.
Right.
By using a qualifying statement instead of just saying no, it suggests that there is something, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
Okay. So Mark, what I do for a living is talk to people.
Understood.
And I just feel like I can read people a little. I know I don't know you. I'm not going to even pretend I do. But there's something there. And is it just something you don't want to talk about? Something that happened that made you leave the church?
No, ma'am. I pretty much left the church when my parents decided to leave.
Okay.
Mark uses another qualifier, but what is more interesting are his lip movements. It seems like his lip movements are his fidgeting behaviors, but he's probably had some training about not showing anxiety both in the home he grew up in, as well as in the military, so he doesn't have a lot of the bigger nonverbal cues that we look for. Yet these lip movements, which continue to return to the disappearing lips, make it clear that he's withholding information. It's almost like he's trying to hold in whatever it is he really wants to say. While Mark may be playing it cool, the detective knows he's hiding something. Before this interview even began, Detective Nagel was able to go through Mark's text messages and saw some concerning things regarding his views on Mennonites. In a text conversation, Mark and Sam are told by their brother Jacob, a Virginia state trooper, that he had just given 2 Mennonites a speeding ticket. Mark and Sam are both overjoyed to hear this, and Mark even says that he hopes that Jacob treated the Mennonites like shit. Sam makes a point of calling the Mennonites cultists, giving some insight into how he and his brothers feel about the religion. In another conversation between just Mark and
So you wouldn't have just went there based off the premise of wanting to go back to church?
No, because you
don't rock with them.
Right. That's what I was about to say. No, you're fine.
And
I was just
I
about
noticed,
to say, it's kind of strange that you have like this underlying hate.
So why are we going to?
Why are you going to look for a church? Like, why are we going to look for service times? And why are we going?
Because you got evenness in your heart. You going to seek.
Right.
See, that's what you want to.
So was it random? Did you see her? Did you go knowing that?
I think you went with intent, and it was she became an opportunity. Could you lead towards that? Because also, like, let's peep this.
Well, not random. Maybe I shouldn't say random. Yeah, with intent, but yeah, you just so happen to see her. She's alone.
Because there's also, look at this. Leaving from the Air Force Base to go to, where they at, Farmington, New Mexico, you can only get, the quickest way for you to really get there, you have to go through Flagstaff. There's no way you can get there. Well, unless you go the longer route, which would be throw you all the way through Phoenix, and you gotta go that long route.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason why he said he had to stop through Phoenix. Because if I go through Phoenix, it would dump me on this other side, which I avoid Flagstaff. But you going out your way to go back through Phoenix way to go there, it's quicker to go. It's already a long drive. Why add extra time instead of just going through Flagstaff?
Yeah.
You have to go through Flagstaff. Unless you're going to go through Phoenix and you're going to add extra time to your trip.
Again, he probably didn't say that. Maybe I don't know.
Remember
maybe
he said,
I made that up.
Remember at one point he said, I made it through to Phoenix without having to stop.
Yeah, I thought so, but I don't know. I didn't think you heard it. I said, maybe I made it up. You know me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mark tells Sam that his surveillance on the Arizona Mennonites that morning was boring. The use of the word surveillance was incredibly alarming to authorities. Include them into the fact that he may have been planning some kind of attack on the community for quite a while.
We have a detective talking to Sam right now.
Okay.
In Wisconsin. Okay. And so I want you to know that for this main reason. Sam's telling.
And I don't mean no harm, but even the brother that's a police officer.
Y'all, what happened to y'all? Something happened to y'all?
That's not a good thing either, because if you're in an area where there are a lot of people in this community, they're just targeted for no reason because you have this hate for them.
And not all of them have did anything to you. So, like, they asked the question, what happened to y'all? Something happened for y'all to have such this evil ill will. And I get, you might look at them as a cult. All religion and denomination can be looked at as a cult in some type of way. You can't be like, hey, y'all kind of move like a cult. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But something happened to y'all for y'all to have this hatred.
And so I want you to know that for this main reason. Sam's telling us some stuff, and you're talking to me, and I want to just make sure, what both of you guys are telling us lines up. And what I know a little bit about from what Sam said is, sounds like something's going on here as far as like maybe you have hard feelings against the Mennonite church, or maybe like a grudge or something like that.
So let me get this straight. You're talking to Sam right now, huh? Mm-hmm. So it sounds like I need to get a lawyer because you're trying to pin something on me.
Huh?
Well, I read you your rights at the beginning of this.
Yes, ma'am. And I'd like to see a lawyer now.
Okay. You would like to speak with a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask you any more questions then. I am going to have you sit here for a few minutes.
Understood.
And then I'm going to kind of explain to you what else is going on today, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You go without water?
Correct.
All right.
Detective Nagel is using a bit of the prisoner's dilemma technique, pinning one suspect against the other. We see him do a big anchor point movement immediately after, and his illustrators don't line up with his words. As soon as the detective leaves the room, Mark unbarriers his legs.
He only copped out to a lawyer because he like, shit, I don't know what the motherfucker's saying. We ain't got that telepathy, so I don't know what he gonna say.
Especially since, I get it, he's your brother and stuff, but y'all really don't talk that much. Like, for real.
Also, your brother...
even though you said you are the closest to him out of all your siblings, like, that was the...
He probably close to all of them.
And he probably is close to all of them. I'm just saying what he said. Yeah. But for the day that, you talked to him, what did it say, like 2.5 hours? And that was like the longest y'all have ever talked?
Recent.
Yeah. Like over the phone and stuff like that.
Because you bragging about what just happened. Remember, they reached out to him and said the officer had just pulled. Yeah, and they brag and boast anytime they do something to the community.
I know. I was just trying to figure out. I was just wondering now, like, what's the times that y'all were like communicating?
Oh, because then we could possibly know the time of the everything that happened.
Interesting.
You get what I mean, dog? Like, boom.
Detective Nagel's comments clearly struck a nerve with Mark,
Yeah, sure
and for the
did.
first time, we see him change his reaction and become stern. He clearly doesn't like that his brother is also being interviewed. Perhaps Mark has good reason to fear that Sam will say too much to the cops, as while Sam refused to answer the majority of questions during his brief interview, he did say one thing that caught detectives' attention.
What?
Not only did Sam claim that Mark had a grudge against Mennonites, but when asked if he knew why the cops were questioning him, Sam ominously replied no, but that he knew his brother and how he is, giving police
What's that mean?
even more reason to be suspicious of Mark. With his interview concluded, Mark was served several search warrants for his phone, apartment, and car, all of which proved to be very enlightening to the authorities. The first thing investigators noticed when looking at Mark's car was how spotless it was. Upon further inspection, they were able to recover a receipt that showed Mark had gotten his car heavily detailed on February 20th.
Oh, once I seen the
No,
thing
look.
What I'm looking at?
That means I want this motherfucker spotless. Top of the line detail.
But you got it. You didn't get it done until February 23rd.
When they investigated.
Her body was found February 22nd.
We have found, I now know y'all found her body. I need this bitch spotless. I need this motherfucker spotless from head to toe. But why you want to throw the receipt away? Dumbass. Obviously you paid with cash. Dumbass. Get rid of the receipt. I wouldn't even have the fucking receipt. Nowhere on me. I'm sorry, y'all. I've done some things, so it's just...
You ain't done nothing like this.
No, yeah, I'm saying not like that, but I do have some kind of mind of somebody who's just this. I would put myself in the shoes sometimes. Damn, that's all I'm saying. The receipt would not be on me. I'm not leaving no trace of the receipt on me. Getting the detail as a criminal is smart, but...
But it also raises red flags. So, wow. Like...
I always get my shit detailed.
Do you really?
Yes. And I always pay with cash. Me personally.
Do you really?
I'm saying me personally, no. But I'm saying
no. I'm saying like for him, like, do you really? Was this your first time ever?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Third, the day after it was announced to the public that Sasha's body had been found. Additionally, the police also discovered some black nitrile gloves in the car, alongside some suspicious stains. Now that detectives are finally able to scour Mark's phone,
they didn't do a good job, my boy. They didn't do a good job, bro.
I bet
not see an answer drop or nothing.
But I'm glad they didn't do a good job.
Yeah, this is not a good job.
I'm glad they didn't do a good job, and you paid $200.
Now I know a guy that would get that up out of there. I do.
But
I didn't see him work magic, and I was like, what?
But this is also the thing, though, especially if it's blood, it's hard to, like, get out.
But I know a guy.
That's hard to get out.
He got it out. He got it out.
But, yeah.
The boy was cold, bruh. Every time we need him, called him up.
Every time.
I'm talking about where I used to work at. I'm talking about
Why did y'all have blood in the cars?
I don't fucking know.
What was the customers doing?
Bro, I done seen some shit. Cocaine. Bro, one joint came back. Let's stay on topic. One chick, she straight the car up. The car wouldn't even start. I had to get that bitch going.
That's crazy.
I got that joint going. I said, all right, hold on, I'm gonna get it down.
But in this case, I'm glad Romero, because that's who detailed the car, didn't do a good job. Because, yeah, you thought you were smart. You tried it.
Yeah, I know a dude who get all that up out of it.
Now that detectives are finally able to scour Mark's phone, more inconsistencies begin to pop up. According to his deletion records, Mark had deleted several files and documents from his Google account early in the morning of January 19th, after returning home from his New Mexico trip. He also deleted several texts with...
Did he possibly delete like... Because he 9 times out of 10, he had to look for...
like search history
of the church and
church
like,
near in that area.
And he would know how to, like me, I don't know how to search stuff like that. somebody who had been a part of the community.
I mean, I guess you know where you headed to, and then just search.
But he probably had to search and the layout,
stuff like that,
more detail that I want to be thinking about looking up.
True.
Like if I'm looking for a church, I'm gonna just type in the church, look at see the
maybe well, I doubt you'd be able to probably look that. Maybe a way to
or he look for some stuff in Flagstaff.
Oh, or that, or the park, or just all that type of stuff.
And it's January, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said something about snow and all this stuff in Arizona. Who the fuck out in the national park in January? It's not really much traffic.
After returning home from his New Mexico trip, he also deleted several texts with Sam where he discussed getting his car detailed, stating that he wanted the detailers to clean the interior really well, with several concerning, if somewhat circumstantial, things found in Mark's phone.
It might be even nice to ride in when y'all come down. They didn't seem to understand when I said I wanted to clean the interior really well and not sell the car. It had kids in it before I got it.
They had enough to detain him. However, police still didn't have enough evidence to actually connect Mark to Sasha's killing, never mind justify an arrest and guarantee a conviction. There was still the puzzling question of why, as there was no clear motive why Mark would have killed Sasha. Investigators soon began interviewing and interrogating the people closest to him in the hopes that they could shed some light on the case. First, they started with Alex Golub, Mark's good friend from basic training. For the most part, Alex said that Mark seemed completely normal throughout their friendship. However, there was one odd moment Alex mentioned that really stuck out to detectives.
Has Mark ever talked about killing people to you?
No, ma'am. Just the text that we did have. We were going to go spec ops together, and we were kind of looking at TACB, and he mentioned in one of the texts that something like he'd be happy to get paid for killing people.
Exactly.
But I was just like, that's kind of like a huge thing. It's just a weird thing to say, so I was like, that's just huge. And also, it's the enemy, so I don't really take it as like he's wanting to kill innocents. It's more like the enemy.
Okay. These are exactly what you're referring to, probably. See that the highlighted conversation between you guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you were just talking about?
Let's go TAC B together. Yes, ma'am. Do you have the one where it says he? Yes.
Where it says, I would like to get paid to kill people.
Right.
And I don't have the next page, but from what I recall of that conversation, you didn't say, "Whoa, man, that's weird," or you guys kind of just went on.
I think I just typed his name in all caps because that's what I would always say.
Okay.
If he said something just like strange.
While Alex laughed off Mark's comment, there's no denying that it's concerning. This text from Mark implies that he may have been harboring these sorts of morbid desires long before targeting Sasha.
It was about respect too. Like one guy in our sister class, he had his feet up on the desk one day, and Gooch was like, "Oh, you should probably get your feet off the desk." And the other dude made a snarky comment like, "Oh, you're telling me what to do," kind of thing now.
Yeah.
And I could tell that Gooch got pretty mad at that. I was like, calm down.
Okay.
From Alex's story about Mark, we can see some indications that Mark may struggle with anger control. The story is also indicative of excessive rigidity. People who are very rigid when it comes to social rules may often get into confrontations with others because they can't cope with seeing any rule-breaking behaviors they deem inappropriate. While this might seem contradictory at first, given the accusations against Mark, he may feel that the rules don't apply to him. This is a trait typically found in individuals with antisocial personality disorder.
How do you remember Mark reacting to stress?
Just stiff as a board, very disciplined. Never screamed back, never lost his cool, kind of thing.
Okay.
You'd see his face get red, but I thought he was just embarrassed.
Alex describes Mark as stiff as a board and mentions his face turning red. These traits, in conjunction with how we saw Mark acting during his interview, could be signs that he's emotionally cut off. This is another trait that's common among individuals with antisocial personality disorder and is tied to their overall lack of empathy. While these few indicators certainly aren't enough to give Mark a full diagnosis, they can give us some insight into how he might think.
Do you think he learned how to kind of bottle up his emotion, like throughout the years of his possibly his childhood or whatever happened to him? Like not bottle but suppress. That's one. Like suppress. Like instead of being explosive, he gets angry. He like kind of like a ticking time bomb. It's like
possibly,
all right, suppress. And eventually it is, you know what I'm saying? And then, unfortunately, this is the explosion that we get. But also, this is a little deeper, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Military also wasn't keen for him to go. He did. He's an individual who 100% should not have went to the military. Because he holds grudges.
Yeah.
And people who hold grudges like that and are not,
especially in already.
I'm not gonna say mentally unstable, emotionally unstable.
Emotional, yeah, and especially having like those thoughts and those feelings towards certain people, and having access to different type of weapons and being able to, it was just a matter of time that you will act on whatever like things you were thinking or feeling or whatever the case may be. Because who makes comments like that, like the text message, like for real, like. That's not normal.
As investigators questioned those around Mark, they learned something very interesting that could blow this case wide open. According to Kemper Kepley, Mark's best friend at Luke Air Force Base, Mark had secretly kept a gun on base for several months. However, he'd recently given the gun to another friend to store off base. Detectives were quick to track this gun down and bring it in for testing, which showed that it was the same caliber as the bullet that killed Sasha.
Is he still using MapQuest? Actual case photos, directions from Mexico's in Mark's room. Because he doesn't, also from his back end, because this is 2020, you ain't using MapQuest no more. But also because I wonder, does he not use a regular phone?
Does he still go by search?
By the Mennonites way, right? They still use flip phones. They don't use smartphones. They're not.
But since you have such these strong feelings towards them, right? And I know you grew up in that. But do you still abide by?
Probably so, because it's so like, you know how like you can grow up like, it's kind of like teachings that's just been like embedded into you.
Yeah.
That even though I don't necessarily agree with it, I abide by it because that's the way I was brought up. Like a lot of stuff, like how we probably grew up in teachings we've been taught, we don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah.
Well, we might live by it because it's been instilled in us.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where sometimes, also, I need to know how old he is. I don't know how old he is.
And I guess I correct myself, too, on the fact that I said he has access to so many weapons. Because I forgot, like, he is on base and stuff. So that would be different. Yeah, so he would be able to, like, just have that access to, like at hand, you know. But he was secretly hiding this weapon and then had a friend hide it off base or whatever. But, yeah.
Testing, which showed that it was the same caliber as the bullet that killed Sasha. However, while the police were in possession of Mark's gun, the case took a turn none of the investigators were expecting.
I got a text just a few minutes ago from Sam Gooch that said Mark Gooch had said that I could help him out with his possessions.
The detective is fine with Kemper working with Sam to get some of Mark's belongings. However, he does have one request.
He starts asking about the gun. That's what we want to know about.
Right. Okay.
And don't, like, provide him any information that you know about the gun. If you can help that. So, we're asking you not to do that.
Within a week of this call with Kemper, detectives were notified that Sam had reached out to Jeremiah Levesque, the last person who had Mark's gun before it was given to the police. While working with Jeremiah, the police listened in on a phone call between him and Sam, where Sam made plans to travel across state lines to Arizona.
But you telling me y'all ain't close? Come on now. Because he, the one that killed named Mark.
Yeah, Sam is the brother.
But we ain't that close.
He said he's the closest to Sam.
He's the closest to, but he ain't that close to him. And he ain't that close to the rest of his siblings.
As he said.
You and Sam are the closest ones because something happened probably to both of y'all. And that's like, y'all kind of, it's kind of like trauma bonding among siblings, right?
Since he didn't want to say or didn't say.
You didn't pay attention to nothing.
You said it's like trauma bonding. I heard
between siblings, and I said, right?
Oh. Yeah, but the reason why I'm
she do that on regular. I'll do this.
But I'm like, the fact that I get it. You don't want to be open to, something that possibly did, but I can't until I like know if something actually did, then
it's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but yeah.
In order to dispose of Mark's gun before the police could get it. In the call, Sam told Jeremiah, "Considering what's going on, if you're comfortable, I would say get rid of the gun any way you deem fit. If not, I will deal with it whenever I get there." Jeremiah was then able to arrange a meetup point with Sam where they planned to trade Mark's gun. However, unbeknownst to Sam, Jeremiah had been given a replica gun by the police, and officers were going to be covertly hidden around the meetup site, waiting to make their arrest.
Target just pulled into the second parking spot.
No problem. There you go, sir.
Hey, move.
Is this considered accessory after the fact?
It's good. Hey, call it in.
I can't. My phone. Where's your phone?
What's tamper with evidence? I don't know.
Target's
Lock
getting
his
back in
ass
his
up.
car.
He's got the gun.
Target has a gun.
He has it?
You see how he didn't even shake his hand? Mm-hmm. He just hit him with the
little elbow.
He's got the gun.
Target has a gun.
He has it?
He has it. Let's go.
Or Jeremiah then, because he leaned in.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to
touch his hand.
Sheriff's office, get out of the
car!
Get your ass down!
Step out now! Get your hands up!
Come on.
Step away from the car!
Get your hands down!
Step towards me! Turn away from me now!
Yeah.
Get on your knees! Get on your knees! Put your hands behind your head! Passenger, get out of the car! Passenger in the back, get out of the car!
In the back?
With their sting operation successful and Sam Gooch arrested, it was time for the detectives to find out why Sam was so set on disposing of Mark's gun.
Right?
Detective Troy Short was sent in to interrogate Sam, and he was immediately met with resistance.
You want to start from the beginning and kind of...
I believe you think I know more than I do, and
So explain what that means. You know what I mean? If I know more than you do, help me understand that.
I don't think this is going to be a productive conversation for me, and I...
Do you want to tell me about tonight?
No, sir.
Okay. If you want to tell me why you guys came halfway across the country to pick up a gun?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you understand why you're here in the room?
Yes, sir.
Here's the deal, Sam. A part of me even feels bad right now because, like I told you back in Wisconsin, you weren't a focus. You weren't a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because of some bad choices, you're in some serious trouble. Not as serious as Mark by any means. You know what I mean? He's in some serious trouble, and I tried to explain that to you back there. Is there anything you can do to help yourself right now, or help yourself out of this mess, or?
As much as I would like to, I frankly do not believe you have my best interest in mind.
Okay.
And I do not think discussing this with you would be helpful.
While Sam may be refusing to give the detective the answers he's looking for, he has yet to actually invoke his Miranda rights.
He hasn't.
Whether or not Sam knows this, refusing to answer a line of questioning is not enough to stop an interrogation and get a lawyer. We can see that Sam is being very cautious in how he responds to Detective Short. When he pauses to take a sip of water after being asked a question, it's likely that he was doing this as a stalling tactic to allow himself time to carefully pick his words. Sam appears to have some prior knowledge about interrogations, as he is correct that the detective doesn't have the suspect's best interests in mind. He appears reluctant to speak as he likely doesn't want to incriminate himself or his brother further by saying the wrong thing.
Why did he call you for this extended period of time on that specific day? Specifically the day that he's under arrest for murder.
You know what I mean? Extensive amount of phone calls that day for elaborate amount of time. Completely outside the norm of you guys' normal communication process. Why are you in Arizona? Why did you fly halfway across the country? Why did you obtain a new phone with a new phone number to do this? Why are you here picking up a gun that you know belongs to Mark? If you don't know what he did, then why would you do that?
You know what he allegedly did.
Okay, I understand that. So you know he allegedly murdered somebody?
Correct.
Okay, so why are you picking up a gun that belonged to him? Specifically, when I told you, when I interviewed you back in Wisconsin, do you know Mark has any guns? And you're like, no, I don't think he's allowed to have one on base. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So what's the deal?
I would like to collect all Mark's possessions as possible. If that gun is his possession, I would like to collect that as well.
Sam refuses to tell the detective why he tried to dispose of Mark's gun, but there are a few possible explanations. Mark claimed that Sam was his closest brother. It's possible that he called Sam and used their close relationship to convince Sam he had to get rid of the gun. Not because Mark killed someone, but because police thought he did. It's more than evident that Sam has a distrust of law enforcement, so it would make sense for Mark to prey upon this feeling in order to persuade his brother that if Sam didn't dispose of this weapon, the police were going to frame Mark for something he didn't do.
It's attempted destruction of evidence, attempted tampering with evidence, attempted hindering prosecution. I mean, there's 2 felonies in there. Like, this is a big deal. So do you want to help me understand it? Do you want to explain it to me? Do you want to...
I don't think so. What is next in this process?
The next part is you go down to jail.
Okay. The way I see it, talking and discussing this with you, you will only use it against me to make these charges stick, and to further incriminate Mark.
Since Sam clearly understands how his words could be used against him, it's odd that he's still agreeing to sit here rather than asking for an attorney or outright refusing to respond. It's possible that his curiosity got the better of him, and he wants to find out how much the detectives know about Mark's crime.
There you go.
It's
That's
also
exactly
possible
what it
that
is.
Sam is afraid and feels that if he at least agrees to sit in the interrogation room, he may be able to dodge the consequences of having helped Mark. With Sam's interview at a stalemate, the detectives are forced to look elsewhere for information. Throughout their entire investigation, the one thing they haven't been able to deduce clearly is motive. Was this just a random killing? Or was there something more at play here? While it's clear that Mark had some sort of grudge against Mennonites, it made no sense that someone with no prior criminal history would suddenly plan an elaborate murder 6 hours away from their home and target someone they'd never even heard of before. At least that's what Detective Nagel thought until she spoke with some Mennonites from Wisconsin and discovered that Mark's past wasn't quite as clean as it seemed. In a phone interview with Mark's former pastor, James Luke Martin, Detective Nagel learned that no one at Mark's former church was surprised to learn that he'd now been arrested in connection with such a heinous crime, as Mark had a reputation for taking revenge on others. Mark had also allegedly been involved in several robberies at the church. When the church tried to punish him for his involvement, his parents stepped in and decided to leave the church for being too critical of Mark. However, this was not the end of Mark's criminal activities. While living with his sister in Pennsylvania, Mark was accused of stealing money from the local Mennonites. Soon after, everyone who accused Mark of stealing money discovered that their cars suspiciously stopped working. After investigating further, these Mennonites found that sand had been placed into the oil pans of their cars, causing their engines to stop working.
Wow.
While those affected weren't able to prove it was Mark who put the sand there, it doesn't seem like a coincidence given his interest in mechanics and apparent taste for revenge. Detective Nagel then spoke to Jonathan Martin, the son of Mark's pastor, who provided further examples of Mark getting caught stealing. Jonathan even said that when he was angry, Mark would prowl around the Mennonite community to see what he could find. After speaking with Jonathan's son, Detective Nagel learned that Mark had allegedly robbed the Martins' family store. However, charges were never pressed due to the fact that the store security camera had its memory card stolen. So there was never visual proof of Mark being the one who robbed the store. While there may not have been any evidence of Mark's involvement at the time of the robbery, Detective Nagel was able to actually find the security footage from that robbery on Mark's own phone. And it showed a man with Mark's height and build robbing the store.
Bro.
In one of the photos, a car that looked suspiciously like Mark's could be seen in the background.
Yeah.
With these photos, Detective Nagel had what appeared to be tangible proof that these accusations against Mark weren't just hearsay.
Right.
Eventually, the detective got a hold of Jared Ulrich, a man who claimed to be Mark's partner in crime in the past. Jared openly confessed to Detective Nagel about all the robberies he'd allegedly committed with Mark, and he described in detail how Mark would try to frame other people in the community for their crimes. There definitely seemed to be evidence that Jared may have been telling the truth, as a series of texts were found on Mark's phone, all of which had been recently deleted. In these texts, Mark talked to Sam about Jared never understanding the real cost of getting caught. Mark then asked Sam to remotely wipe Jared's phone, something that he also asked Sam to do to his own phone after he fell under suspicion for Sasha's murder. While all of this information against Mark was damning enough, there was still one more disturbing truth to learn. Through many more interviews, Detective Nagel was eventually put in contact with Andrew and Galen Headings, a pair of brothers who were close with Mark during his time in Wisconsin. Andrew recounted a time where he had confronted Mark for stealing, and during their conversation, Mark was so cold and bitter that Andrew said he feared for his life. Galen had an even more disturbing revelation for Detective Nagel, as he told her about Mark's alleged inappropriate actions towards women. According to Galen, Mark confessed to him that he had allegedly assaulted a young girl his sister was babysitting when he was around 10 to 13 years old. However, this claim has never been publicly proven, and there's no evidence of it being true. Still, with this information, it became clear that Mark always had the capacity to harm others, and allegedly had many times in the past. Mark's motive in harming Sasha was also more evident than ever. All the unfounded anger and resentment he had towards the Mennonite community had been steadily growing over the years, and as it did, Mark took his revenge against them further and further. Up to this point, charges had never been pressed against Mark, and he felt like he could outsmart anyone, even the police. With this misplaced confidence, Mark decided to see if he could get away with the ultimate crime, murder. It appears that Mark had gone to the Mennonite community that day in search of a victim, and tragically, Sasha was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mark grabbed her from her car late at night and no one saw a thing. Still, that didn't prevent him from getting caught. Unfortunately for him, while no one had previously pressed any charges for his theft, the state of Arizona was more than happy to charge Mark for Sasha's murder and put him on trial. Mark's trial began on September 24th, 2021. In January of 2022, the jury found Mark guilty on charges of kidnapping and first-degree murder, earning him a life sentence. For his help in covering up Mark's crimes, Sam Gooch pleaded guilty and received 3 years probation. With both Sam and Mark dealt with, Sasha Krause and her family finally received the justice they deserve.
Rest in peace to Sasha.
Also, do you think he possibly was going to go rob them? Because his thing is robbery, right? It's not murder. It's not like... But it was always robbery. So, do you think she walked in on him while he possibly was robbing?
Do I think he walked in on him?
She
walked in on him?
She probably caught him stealing or robbing.
Well, he took her from her car. So
we don't know 100% if he just snatched her out the car. She probably was getting out the car, and he like, oh shit, she could.
I mean, who knows? It's just
unless they got security footage evidence. But also, I don't think they would have security footage because they don't live in that time. I doubt they would have security footage.
Well,
that is just a presumption of he took her out the car.
Well,
I don't think he necessarily.
One of the churches back in Wisconsin had the security footage, but he took the car, but they ended up finding it on his phone.
Yeah,
Why you got it on your phone, which is so crazy to me. But anyway, so
because he gets off.
Yeah,
he gets off about looking at it.
Honestly,
like,
I think things were just, you know how some people like they do things and they just like sick individuals and like things just build up and they like, okay, what else can I do? Because after maybe sometime you don't get a thrill no more out of the robberies and stuff like that. And also that's what I was trying to say earlier when I was like, I don't think anything like happened to him. I felt like it was something else that he was like trying to.
But also, we don't know.
We don't know. But I'm just saying that's the reason why they left the church is because he was.
I never was thinking that the reason why they left the church is because something happened to him.
Yeah,
I didn't think that. I think I didn't know about that, but I was wondering.
But he just seemed like he was a menace to.
He was just one of them badass kids, and the parents always took up for him anytime. They're like, hey, your son, there's no, you know how parents be, there's no way my son did that. It's like you living in the Lulu world. Yeah. And I guess because he's the youngest as well, so everybody has always protected him. Yeah. And so he was just always getting away with bullshit. And I will say, as somebody who has committed theft before, it is a thrill that you, like, it's like adrenaline. Like, damn, I can't believe I got away with this shit. But that's the reason why I'm like, did he deliberately commit the murder out of thrill? Because that was never his MO to harm people. Like, he has never physically harmed him. Well, never mind. I take that back. I take that back. He did assault the child when he was a child. So technically,
they said they don't have any like
hardcore
evidence. But for you to admit something like that, that's crazy to me if it's not true. Like, so I'm going off of what you said, what you told somebody. But my thing is, if you didn't want to necessarily take her life, okay, you could have knocked her out. You could have, like, there's so many other things you could do that you can do, but you decided to. No.
All right, so
I just
let me
and then you already had your weapon on you, right?
He wasn't gonna shoot on the scene because a gun is loud. If I shoot her, it's gonna attract other people. Right. So the best thing for him to do is pull the gun out and make her
kidnap her.
Also, him also knowing the church, right? He would have knew. I think he went there to rob because he know when. Eventually, he understands like the time in other community, what time they go to sleep, kind of how they operate.
And he wasn't expecting her to be there that time of night.
Yes, but when she showed up, he already had the idea of killing somebody. So now
you couldn't have left and it came back at a later time. I'm just.
Peep what I just said. He already had the thought of wanting to kill somebody.
Yeah.
They brag about harming and doing things to the church and the community. They get a thrill off of harming the community. I think, personally, I think he went there with the premise of robbing, stealing, doing something. I think, unfortunately, I know we say this and we have talked about this, wrong place, wrong time, but it was the right place for her. It was just the wrong situation she walked into. I feel he went in there on the ground, and I think he's actually getting off of that. He took was it how you say that, Mennonites? I think he's getting off the fact that I have killed one of them. I have taken one of their lives because they it's like him and his brother. The way they talk about it, it's like they having an orgasm of getting off of. Oh, we didn't harm them. We making them suffer. You know what I'm saying? It's like they getting off on that. It's something they get a thrill out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, bro, what? Like anything y'all know about that's affecting them in any kind of way, y'all get a thrill of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm like, it can't just be because they wanted to punish him. It has to be something else that's happened. Because also the brother has an ill feeling towards them. Who else in the family has an ill feeling towards them? I think this story, is a lot of deep underlining things.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't have the information. I'm not privy to the information. Don't know. So I don't want to assume anything. Yeah. And that's just that. But I go off of what was said and.
But do you think you think it's a possibility she walked in on him, he was trying to, and it was an opportunity?
Possibly. I mean, possibly. I would like to I doubt if he ever said it or.
He come out and say,
came out and
if he do, it'll be like later on in his life when he's old as hell and like somebody.
But even then, it's kind of like,
okay,
wow. Is that the truth? I can.
So basically, you saying like, will we ever get to like definite truth?
And then the way you did her, it's just kind of like that's. To the back of the head. I don't
even
know.
Discarding her, I feel like he left her discarded for them to find her. Because you just left her out in the open. And where you kept going back to get a thrill off the fact that seeing her dead. Because they got a thrill off harming them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he kept going back. You kept going back for a reason. And then, not even just that, like, you talking, you and your brother are having a conversation about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Y'all sick, though.
Very much so.
You and your brother. And whoever else could know.
True.
But, hey, y'all spam us up, man. Let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. But, until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are. We are.
Time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please